my name is Tomislav and thanks for joining me in today's webinar on what's new in advanced steel. We're just going to go over the what's new side of it. Usually I might show something like some of the actual features and actually running through it. I have done that in the past, so today is going to be a quick sort of half-hour show of what's new for 2017. A little bit of my background. I am ex-industry, so I have worked for Worley Parsons and GHDs as a piping designer, as a structural designer. I've done CAD administration, I've done AutoCAD administration, I've done MicroStation administration, so I have worked around the country. I am based in Australia and I've been at Autodesk now for 5.5 years as a plant infrastructure and fabrication specialist. So to give a little bit of a background on advanced steel, we bought it a few years ago now from a company called Greytech, and it was about the 2015 release where it became an Autodesk product, and obviously subsequently we've made it a 2016 and now a 2017 product. So for today, with the what's new, this is just basically what we're going to go over and cover with what was released for the 2017 products. So I won't necessarily talk about each of the individual items now, but just some of the notable things: beam offset information, even custom clipping symbols, grid balloon placements, new templates, and even formulas in BOMs. There's a couple enhanced drawing styles for the US market, which again, we're not sort of really going to look at just because we aren't the US market. Viewing the native drawings, and even something new that came out with the steel connections inside Revit. So that's one of the last things that we'll go over today. At the end of this, feel free to ask me any questions and we'll go over them. But otherwise I will put up my details at the end of the webinar, and you guys can email me directly or contact me through other sources. So some of the new and enhanced modeling tools that are in the user interface. So I know this is a new parametric macro for cold rolled elements and connections. And it's been asked by a lot of people for Australia and New Zealand, so they've been added in there as the default product. It's not an optional download. It is something that is inside the product. So you can see the vendors there: Lysart, Stramit, and Metalcraft. So these ready-to-use templates are already in there, and they are obviously database controlled as well. So you can make any changes to it and obviously modify them to suit your own project. The fabrication data properties can be transferred from some assemblies to the other assemblies by using the match properties command, and also the tokens for those fabrication data information are available for our bill of materials and lists and lists on the drawings as well. These status, which can be user defined, so you might have something, for example, something that's been painted, shipped, erected, and there's no real sort of set list in there. So you might even do one for this approval status that might be modeled, drawn and checked. Also we can use the search query to look for some of these properties as well. So again, I guess it's something that users have been asking for, and that we do try and include in each yearly release as well. So looking at some of the documentation improvements that can help your productivity. So we can get the beam offset value that's automatically displayed in the labels, and also the relative vertical position of structural members can be displayed on that beam label. They are controlled by a token that automatically displays it, displays that offset value, and it's also in relation to the plan view. So you can see on there that some of them it might say that it is offset to the view that we're looking at directly. There might even also be one where it's not perpendicular to the view, so you can see there where it tells us that that bracing is sloped. So the offset value is in relation to where we're looking at the UCS plane, or whether it's sloping away from that plane. The structural members can be displayed as symbols, so there are several different options there as well, and the beam symbol is always placed at the end of the line that represents the left side of the assembly on that drawing. So it might be a bit difficult to see the again, depending on your screen, but you can see that that beam symbol there on the left hand side. So you know, again, it was something that's been asked for, and we have ended up putting it into this release for people that find it to be an important option for them. Snap points on anchors. So, the clipping symbols in a detail view. So this was something. The clipping symbols have always had, I guess, a standard where you've got just a normal line or even a zigzag symbol. So now you can put in your own custom clipping symbol, and again, it is controlled by a specific default that's inside the management tool. So if you do have your own, then you can go through and modify that and make that the normal standard for your output of drawings and your details as well. The snap points on the anchors is what I was going to talk about before. So we can snap to specific points on anchors as well. So you can see there that we've got in the drafting settings, we've got the snap points. So anchors, bolts, washers and nuts can be dimensioned, and if dimensions are smart, if preferred for dimension, snap point is selected there in the drafting settings within AutoCAD. So again, when they're displayed with their exact representation, you can go through and manually dimension or I guess add those dimensions in there if you need to for those details. The grid balloon placement, so we can control the placement and the size of the grid balloons to help improve the appearance. So we can, in inverted commas, break the grid extension line and offset the position of the balloon. So you can see there in that sample where the D13 is, so we can offset that grid line just to make the drawings look a little bit cleaner and neater. In addition, there's a new option there that lets you place grid line symbols and balloons at the top in elevation views as well. So we can also keep the balloon size equal on the sheet and then obviously just decrease the text size to fit the borders. A new template for creating a list on drawings is available with connection location information on single part drawings as well. So this provides information if the parts are shop welded or bolted or both. So this is just a new template that we've got added in there. So you'll find it in your template dialog boxes. Again, that image there may or may not be easier to see, but when you do load up your template dialog box, you'll see the new ones in there that says SP connection locations.dwg. So within the bill of materials, we can include formulas such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in your BOMs template. So if there is something like a calculated field, you can use the tokens in those calculations. The result will be automatically calculated. So you might even almost think of it like, kind of Excel, where you have a couple of fields and then you have a calculation at the end, and all of those results appear in the bill of materials. So you might have something like, for an example, an extra 5% to your bulk quantity to be shipped at site. So if you've got 100 of them, it'll automatically add an extra 5% at the end of that, just in case any get lost or stolen. So, excuse me. You can see also there we can have multiple formulas in the same bill of materials. So again, your outputs are going to be a lot closer to what you might normally do in maybe something like Excel to show these bill of materials and their associated formulas. Enhancements to the BOM editor. So the first enhancement is about a filter tool which we can help find the token. So in that first image there, you can see the red arrow where it points to that entry in the dollar box. So if you know what the token name is, you'll be able to start typing it in and see the filters for that cell. And then the second enhancement lets you have different options for sorting the individual tokens with the sorting dialog box. So again, just a couple enhancements that I guess end users have come back and asked for that we have obviously been able to include inside Advanced Steel. So interoperability. So this is one. I guess this is one of my favorites, just because I deal with other products like Revit and Plant as well. So I always like seeing where we can import and export from one package to another without sort of losing any data. So for 2017, the object enabler that you will install with the software. So let's any Advanced Steel drawings to be opened in AutoCAD or LT, but also in BIM 360, A360, or even AutoCAD 360. You can't modify the drawing content, but you can complete the drawing by adding AutoCAD dimensions or annotations, because you do have the ability to snap to those objects as well. So again, I guess if you're sending those files out to a third party or somewhere else in your office, that these people can look at and review your drawings better compared to last year's. So you can see also there that the Object Property Manager shows the properties. So again, you'll just be able to see more information with the latest releases of the object enablers themselves. So we've done a few enhancements for IFC. So we're just taking advantage of the IFC export capabilities enhancements for sharing more information with other software and improving the workflows that you might do inside Advanced Steel, that you may send it out to other design packages. And you can see there the IFC file content can now include custom sections and even curved elements. So again, if you're looking to export the IFC file there, you can see that there is updates to that there too. As usual, there is a Revit extension to let you export your Revit file from Revit. So now with 2017, Revit is just called Revit. It's no longer called Revit Architecture, Revit MEP, or Revit Structure. It is just Revit. You can see there that the grids can be exported and synchronized. We can export the model based on view settings, better mapping for steel sections, and also we can synchronize a steel connection. So I'll just go over that information in the next slide. But you can see that again, as we progress over the course of the current year and the upcoming years, the synchronization between the two just gets better and better. So if anyone hasn't noticed, with Revit 2017, when you install, I guess, your software, you get the Autodesk Application Manager, and you will get access to the steel connections for Revit. So these are parametric steel connections inside the software, enabling us to create these connections. They can also go back into Advanced Steel, so they are part of the XML export. There are 22 in there at the moment, so Autodesk Advanced Steel has, I think, around 220 odd. At the moment, Revit has 22 of them. I have spoken about this on YouTube, and I think there is a few articles floating about on YouTube in the AKN showing how these are created and how you synchronize them back and forth. There are obviously workflows to stick to in here. So starting the connections inside Revit just means that we can export them and then synchronize them back. So just some of the workflow procedures that I'm just going to go through again with other Autodesk products. So again, with my experience in the planned industry, so we can export and XREF our plant 3D model into advanced steel. So just because it's like sitting on a normal AutoCAD, we just load up the XREF command and then just attach the piping and plant model. So inside advanced steel, we can detail it, do miscellaneous steel and any other connections, and obviously the structural detailing side is where we get our BOM, our drawings, our CNC data. We XREF it back into Plant 3D. So with the object enablers that I mentioned before, the Plant 3D users will see the updated steel model from the advanced steel guys. And then obviously the detailing, the GAs will get represented on our 2D ortho drawings inside Plant 3D because of those object enablers. We're going to see it on both packages. The workflow between Robot, Revit and Advanced Steel. So even now we can import, export back and forth between all three packages. And again, you know, as we progress, these exports and imports are going to get better and better. One of my particular favorite products is Navisworks itself. So with Advanced Steel, we've got a couple ways of doing it. We can bring in the DWG. It uses the model file, excuse me, or we could bring in the 3D DWF, and then we can get all object properties in there as well. So if we interrogate the Advanced Steel model inside Navisworks, we're going to see all of the 3D DWF properties inside Navisworks, and then we can subsequently do clash and timelining, and then be able to collaborate with all the other users on that project. So like you see here, the other products, so we can bring in Revit files, we could bring in Civil, even InfraWorks, and even Inventor files. So just like every other Autodesk product, we can bring it into Navisworks, look at reviewing, collaborating, clashing, make sure that we're not going to do any hit with any other packages or disciplines, and then from that obviously we would have that workflow back and forth. Once it's inside Navisworks, we can export it out to BIM 360. So even with 2017, I know we had it on 2016, there was better integration with BIM 360, so you can just basically publish it straight out from Navisworks. And again, all of the properties flow through to BIM 360 Glue. So you can kind of think of BIM 360 Glue like Navisworks in the cloud. It's its own application, and there is also an iPad app for it. So you could be sitting there on your iPad out on site and looking and reviewing and marking up the model as if you're in the office itself. So just a quick little update for the workflow from Advanced Steel. So Advanced Steel we export out to Navisworks, and then we can back and forth export from Navisworks to BIM 360 Glue. And again, like I said, with that with the iPad app for BIM 360 Glue, you'll be able to walk around on the site. The only thing the iPad app doesn't have is Clash, but if I was to do a comment or a markup in my BIM 360 Glue app, then I will be able to see it on my iPad. It just means that we just can't do clashes. Just a quick note on some of the upcoming webinars. So in a couple of weeks, my counterpart Sam McAllister is going to do a What's New Inside Revit 2017. Stephen Ellis is going to do a What's New in InfraWorks 360 2017. And again, Sam will have two more with his webinars, Cloud Rendering in A360, and even a Revit into an Advanced Steel workflow, which we might co-present. So the next 4 webinars are listed there. If you're interested or keen, obviously you should get an email about them, but otherwise just check on the Autodesk website for these upcoming webinars, and then you can obviously register it. If you follow any of us on LinkedIn, they will also be advertised on LinkedIn as well. If you need more information, just go to the Advanced Steel website there, so on autodesk.com/products/Advanced Steel overview. If you go to YouTube, if you search for Autodesk ANZ, it is our tech team sort of that's based in Australia, so we do publish up videos there, and if you need to, just search for that name, and then you can have a scroll through the videos there. There is a particularly good playlist in there that talks about using InfoWorks and Revit and Advanced Steel and Plant all together, and it does show really good workflow capabilities between all of the Autodesk products that we did on a small little project that we did internally. If you want to get in touch with me directly, there's my email address, so tomislav.golubovic@autodesk.com, and if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. So that really covers it from my side. I'm just going to fire up the chat and just see if there's any comments there. Does anyone have any questions, any queries on it? Feel free to chat away. No questions. All right. Well, thank you very much to everyone who joined. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I do have some questions. So, what's happening with Robot? Not entirely sure what the question is asking. What's happening? Robot is still there. It's still around. We do have a tech preview for something called React Structures. So if you go to react.autodesk.com, I guess you could call it, that's kind of the next generation. But again, I don't know what you mean by what's happening with it. It's still there. It's still a product. So the next question, can you show connections from Advanced Steel in Revit? If the connections have been started in Revit and they go back and forth to Advanced Steel, then yes. If the connections were started in Advanced Steel, you're only going to get some of the objects. So yeah, it just entirely depends on the connections. Yeah, and like I said in the webinar, there is a specific workflow for that. But again, because there's only 22 in Revit and 220 in Advanced Steel, not everything is going to come through, but you'll get most of it, if not some of it at least. So does React work with Advanced Steel? Yes, it will. Again, it's only an early stage piece of software, so again, I'd probably download it and have a look at it. You can download it as preview kind of software, and then I guess you could try your own testing. But by all accounts, yes, it will. Not sure exactly on the timelining or how it's going to be replacing Robot. So Tim, if you want to email me, I can. Since it's been a couple of years since we last reviewed it, Tim. Okay, like I said, you can probably shoot me an email and I can see what kind of information I can get for you, and then we could probably do something more personalized for you guys as a one-on-one. Advanced Concrete, it's still out there, but by all accounts, it's getting pushed into Revit. So you'll find Revit and its concrete and its reinforcing and fabric capabilities are getting better and better. I'm not privy to where Advanced Concrete is going, but it's still there as far as I know for this year. I could be wrong. But you'll slowly start seeing more and more of the capabilities going to be pushed inside Revit itself. Advanced Steel is not included in the collections. No, it is still a separate product. Robot, as far as I know, I'd have to double check that. I don't think, just off the top of my head, I don't think Revit, I don't think Robot is in the Autodesk collections. React to be in the collections, no idea. No idea. The collections were only just released. It's not to say that there could be any changes in upcoming, but React is still preview technology, so no idea. Sorry, Milli Vanilli, but with your sad face there, again, I'm just not privy to it. If you want to connect with me later on, I can we can chat about it offline, and I can maybe sort of have a quick showing of React structures to you. But like I said, no idea. All right, looks like that's all the questions. So like I said before, if you want to connect with me, there's my details there. So just shoot me an email, add me on LinkedIn. Yeah, and then again, like I said, for Tim, I can just see that you've connected with me, so we can chat offline more about Robot and React, and then take it from there. All right. Thank you everyone for joining. We're going to publish this online hopefully this afternoon, and then you can pass it around to anyone who wasn't available to see it. And thanks again.